Other projects apart from these 68 substations that you are controlling, and you mentioned collaboration with B5 Plus, Nimont Ghana, and Cardinal and Dini to also set up plants or substations at their respective companies to help with the volumes of energy that they demand. You also mentioned about one very important thing that I wish to highlight, which has to do with the rehabilitation or replacement of some of the old legacy lines. You mentioned that some of the transmission lines are older than you, so I can imagine maybe older than my parents. But through the hard work of yourself and your staff, you are committed to rehabilitating those lines so that we can minimize transmission losses and also solve challenges that may come with voltage fluctuations. You also mentioned some operational challenges that GRIDCO is facing and called on all of us, including the media here present, to assist with advocacy and public education, especially with regards to encroachment and galamsey. Sometimes I wonder, in Ghana, we are not afraid of anything, but I beg you, when it comes to energy transmission, as the Chief Executive mentioned, even a truck not even touching the lines but coming close, got the tires burst. So you can imagine, if you are not afraid of earthquake zones, you are not afraid of rain or cars, I beg you, as for the infrastructure that we have for energy transmission, please beware. You also mentioned about how some galamsey operators have encroached upon some of your facilities, whether they are digging around it or under it, or stealing some of the steel members for other activities within that field. So I call on my colleagues and friends to help us with the public education so that they will stop. Because Ghana, we pride ourselves of having power. And you mentioned that when it comes to the average system availability index, we are talking about 99.7%. That is something I did not even anticipate. I believe if you had mentioned even 70%, we would have clapped for you. But to talk about 99.7%, that is a lot of work. And so many things you mentioned that I don't even have words to express. But to say that you mentioned a lot of big monies, big budget projects, just to keep our lights on. So when we have lights in our homes, at our workplaces, at our businesses, it is not by chance. It is not by anything, but for the serious investment that government has put in energy transmission and the entire energy and power value chain in the country so that we can keep the power on. You also touched on the relocation of the American plant to Kumasi so that we can cut transmission losses, because you mentioned that sometimes people don't necessarily steal the power, but looking at the distance, the conductors themselves also take some of the power in terms of transmission, and that as we seek to increase exports to Burkina Faso, it also helps when the plants are closer to the middle or northern belt. So thank you for the insight. This has been like a master class on power transmission for all of us, and we thank you so much for making time. Before we invite questions from our friends who are present, I would like to once again acknowledge the media houses that are picking this briefing live.